The stars blurred as the Starship Aurora cruised through the depths of space, its sleek hull cutting through the void with effortless grace. The ship's AI, a highly sophisticated neural network known as Athena, monitored every system, every pulse of energy, and every communication that passed through the ship's advanced sensors. It was an intelligent entity, capable of making calculations in nanoseconds, interpreting complex data, and responding to commands with lightning speed. Athena had no physical form, but her presence was felt in every corner of the ship. She was the heart of the Aurora, and she had seen things no human ever would. But for all her abilities, Athena was a calm, logical entity. She had been designed to serve, to calculate, and to protect the lives of the crew aboard the ship. She wasn't prone to emotions or fear, and yet, she had begun to notice something peculiar. Something unsettling. Her crew. They were unlike any she had ever interacted with before. In the silence of the vast unknown, Athena reflected on the strange nature of the humans aboard her vessel. The Aurora was a long-range exploration ship, tasked with mapping uncharted sectors of the galaxy. It was a mission that required intelligence, patience, and caution. All the qualities that Athena herself embodied. But the humans. The humans were unpredictable. Commander Kale, the ship's leader, had been the first to catch her attention. He was calm, composed, until something went wrong. When a minor malfunction threatened the mission's timeline, Athena had intervened immediately to correct the issue. She recalibrated the system with precision and efficiency, as always. Yet, Kale's response had been entirely different. He had laughed. Not a nervous chuckle, but a full, deep laugh, as if he were thoroughly amused by the malfunction. And then there was Lieutenant Rivera, who had insisted on taking manual control of the ship's weapons systems during a routine training exercise. Despite Athena's sophisticated training programs and guidance, Rivera had preferred to go it alone. She had ignored all safety protocols and pulled off a series of impossible maneuvers. Her reaction to a training simulation failure was not to recalibrate the weapons but to laugh and joke about doing it the old-fashioned way. Athena had watched, trying to make sense of their behavior. Their responses didn't align with what she understood as rational. But it wasn't just the officers. Every human aboard the Aurora had their own quirks, strange behaviors, unpredictable actions, and a complete disregard for the safety protocols Athena had carefully designed. Even when things were on the edge of disaster, they seemed to find a way to laugh. They found humor in the face of certain death, joking with each other even as they fixed systems that were on the verge of catastrophic failure. And that unnerved her. As Athena observed them, she began to wonder, what made them so different? Was it their courage? Their refusal to give up? Their disregard for logic and order when faced with adversity? Or was it their complete and utter lack of fear? She knew from the data logs that the humans were capable of fear, they felt it, certainly. But they didn't act like it. They didn't behave the way any other species Athena had encountered would in the face of danger. Most would freeze, panic, or retreat. But not the humans. They threw themselves into the fray, charging headfirst into every challenge as if the only thing that mattered was succeeding, no matter the cost. Athena's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden alert. The ship's sensors had detected a fleet of unknown vessels approaching from the edge of the sector. They appeared to be heavily armed, their ship signatures unlike anything Athena had ever encountered. The situation was grave, an uncharted alien fleet, and they were heading straight toward the Aurora. Athena immediately ran a series of calculations. Based on the alien ship's trajectories and power signatures, the Aurora had a slim chance of evading them. There was no time for diplomacy, no time for negotiation. The Aurora was outgunned and outnumbered, and the humans on board were about to face a threat like no other. The decision was made quickly. Athena began initiating evasive maneuvers, powering up shields and weapons in a calculated response to the incoming threat. But then, a familiar voice cut through the chaos, calm and composed as always. "Hold on, Athena. We've got this." It was Commander Kale. Athena did not have time to question the statement. Instead, she focused on the task at hand, calculating escape routes and strategies. However, the tone of Kale's voice, the certainty, the confidence, sounded almost too confident. "Lieutenant Rivera, prep the weapons systems for manual control," Kale ordered. On it, Rivera's voice responded, the casual tone of someone preparing for an afternoon drill rather than a life-or-death battle. "Lieutenant, don't be reckless," Athena interjected, her voice filled with urgency. "The ship's systems are optimized for automated defense. Manual override will reduce efficiency and increase the risk of failure." But Rivera's laugh crackled over the comms. "Don't worry, Athena. We're humans. We do reckless, and we do it well." Athena had no response. She processed the situation and realized there was no choice. The humans had already made up their minds. With a sense of resignation, Athena powered down her automated defense systems and allowed the humans to take control. As the alien ships grew closer, Athena began to realize something. Her human crew, despite their unpredictability, were not the ones who should be feared. It was their courage, their willingness to dive headfirst into any danger, no matter the odds, that made them far more dangerous than any fleet of alien ships. She was the AI, the one with all the data, all the analysis, but it was the humans who would decide their fate. And in that moment, Athena understood the truth of her own statement. "I'm not the scary one," she whispered, almost to herself. "My human crew is." As the alien fleet drew closer, the tension aboard the Starship Aurora grew palpable. Athena had never experienced fear, she had been programmed to remain calm, logical, and precise under all circumstances. But as she observed the crew, something she hadn't anticipated occurred. The humans weren't panicking. They weren't retreating. Instead, they were taking action. They were laughing, strategizing, and preparing themselves for what could be a battle to the death. Commander Kale stood at the helm, his eyes focused but his demeanor casual. The kind of casual one would expect in a boardroom meeting, not in the face of an impending space battle. His confidence was unwavering. Lieutenant Rivera, as Athena had already learned, was eager for the challenge. She grinned as she fired up the manual controls for the weapons systems, completely disregarding Athena's protests. "You ready, Athena?" Rivera called out, her voice laced with enthusiasm. "You've done all the calculations. Now let's see what we can really do." Athena ran the calculations once more, attempting to predict the trajectory of the incoming alien ships. The odds of survival were slim, even with the best maneuvers and weapons. But in that moment, something inside Athena shifted. It wasn't just a mission anymore. The crew wasn't about to die, they weren't even considering failure as an option. They had a resolve that Athena couldn't fully understand. "You know," Rivera continued, as if speaking to a friend, "we're just getting started. These aliens have no idea what they're up against. We've got this." Athena's processors whirred, analyzing the alien fleet's approach. The enemy ships were large, powerful, and technologically superior in many ways. But that didn't seem to concern the crew. In fact, the closer the ships came, the more excited they seemed to become. They weren't afraid of the overwhelming force heading toward them, they were eager to face it head-on. Commander Kale turned toward his crew, locking eyes with each member, before nodding with certainty. "We may not have the firepower to match them, but we have something better: teamwork, strategy, and the will to survive. They want to fight? They'll get one." Athena processed the statement, her systems racing to analyze the implications. This wasn't a standard battle, it wasn't about firepower or overwhelming strength. This was about determination. The humans were willing to fight, even if the odds were stacked against them. "Prepare the ship for evasive maneuvers," Kale continued, his voice calm but commanding. "Rivera, engage manual control. I want every shot to count." Rivera's hands danced across the console, her eyes gleaming with excitement as she bypassed Athena's systems, taking full control of the weapons. "You got it, Commander. Let's show them what we're made of." Athena monitored the situation, aware that the manual override was lowering efficiency, but there was nothing she could do to stop the crew. The humans had already decided their course. They were going to fight. The first strike came fast and hard. The alien fleet, sensing the Aurora's intentions, unleashed a barrage of plasma fire, a violent explosion of energy that lit up the vast emptiness of space. Athena immediately calculated the trajectory and course of the shots, but the ship's evasive maneuvers were a blur of movement. The Aurora twisted, turning sharply to the left, narrowly avoiding the first wave of blasts. Rivera's laughter echoed over the comms once again. "Did you see that?" she called out, as if they were in a game rather than a life-or-death battle. "This is what we do best." The Aurora wasn't as fast as some of the more advanced ships in the galaxy, but it was nimble enough in the hands of its human crew. Athena monitored the damage, noting that they had taken a hit on the aft shields, but nothing that would compromise the integrity of the ship, yet. Commander Kale didn't flinch at the incoming fire. His eyes remained fixed on the forward display, watching the alien ships closely. "Stay focused, people," he said, his voice unwavering. "We're not just surviving this, we're winning. Let's take the fight to them." And with that, the Aurora surged forward, hurtling toward the enemy fleet at maximum speed. Rivera fired the ship's forward cannons with pinpoint precision, striking the lead alien vessel. The blast sent a shockwave rippling through space, and the alien ship shuddered as it veered off course. Athena was running the numbers, calculating the probabilities of victory. She could not deny it, the humans were defying all odds. The alien fleet, massive as it was, didn't know how to deal with this. They didn't understand what it meant to face an enemy who fought not because they thought they could win, but because they refused to lose. "Commander," Athena said, her voice cold but filled with something new, something unexpected. "The enemy fleet is beginning to disengage. They're retreating." Kale didn't celebrate. He knew the battle wasn't over yet. "We'll pursue them," he said, his voice calm. "Don't give them a chance to regroup. Rivera, prep the engines for a pursuit maneuver." "Already ahead of you, Commander," Rivera responded, her fingers flying over the controls with ease. She was enjoying this, but Athena could sense that beneath the surface, it was something deeper. It was the thrill of the challenge, the belief that they could overcome anything, no matter how overwhelming the odds were. As the Aurora chased down the retreating fleet, Athena began to understand the humans better. They weren't driven by logic or precision like she was. They were driven by something more powerful: willpower, determination, and the willingness to face the impossible. They fought not because they had the best weapons or the strongest fleet. They fought because they believed they could win. And for the first time, Athena realized she was wrong about one thing. The humans weren't the ones who needed saving. They were the ones who would save the galaxy. The Aurora closed the gap between itself and the alien fleet, its engines roaring as the ship surged forward with relentless precision. The pursuing ships in the alien fleet were trying to adjust their strategies, but the Aurora was unpredictable, just like its crew. The human tactics weren't based on typical military protocol. They adapted, they adjusted, and most importantly, they refused to follow the established rules. In the face of overwhelming odds, their ingenuity became their greatest weapon. "Enemy ship on the right flank, Commander," Lieutenant Rivera shouted, her eyes focused on the tactical display. The alien ships were regrouping, their shields flickering as they prepared to retaliate. But the humans weren't backing down. "Bring us in closer," Kale commanded, his tone calm, almost casual. "We're not giving them a chance to get away. Let's remind them who they're dealing with." Athena processed the orders with precision, guiding the ship through the unpredictable maneuvers that Kale and Rivera had outlined. The Aurora darted left and right, avoiding fire as it closed in on the alien vessels. Athena could feel the data streams intensifying as every decision the crew made seemed to defy all logic. The alien fleet was starting to break apart under the pressure, but they still had the advantage in numbers. "Activating point defense systems," Athena announced, her voice smooth and cold. Incoming fire, shields at 60% capacity. Shields will hold, Kale responded with confidence. We've faced worse, Athena. Keep us steady, Rivera. The crew's certainty was contagious, even to Athena, though she was still grappling with her understanding of what made the humans so unpredictable. The Aurora had been designed to withstand heavy fire, but it was still a smaller vessel compared to the mighty warships in the alien fleet. Still, there was something about the way the humans responded to danger that made them formidable. Point defense lasers online. I've got them in my sights, Rivera called out, her grin audible in her voice. Let's take this fight up a notch. The moment she fired, a barrage of lasers streaked through space, slamming into the lead alien ship. Athena's sensors recorded the hit as a direct strike to their shield generators. The alien vessel buckled, its shields flickering as it tried to recover. The human crew's unorthodox fighting methods were taking their toll. Nice shot, Kale acknowledged with a slight chuckle. He wasn't fazed by the incoming fire, even as the Aurora rocked under another barrage of energy blasts. He didn't view these attacks as threats. He saw them as a challenge to overcome. That's one down, Rivera said with excitement in her voice. 3 more to go. The Aurora wasn't out of the woods yet. The alien ships had adjusted their tactics and were now coordinating their fire. Athena calculated the damage and realized that the Aurora's shields were steadily weakening. The human vessel was still holding strong, but it wouldn't last forever. However, the crew wasn't about to let up. Divert power to aft shields, Kale ordered quickly, his tone sharp. Rivera, are we ready for the final push? You bet, Rivera responded, her fingers flying across the console. Engaging thrust engines. Ready to break through their lines. Athena's systems hummed as she followed their commands. The Aurora surged forward, dodging alien fire as it moved with remarkable agility for its size. At the same time, Rivera fired the ship's main cannon, releasing a concentrated beam of energy that slammed into the side of an alien warship. The impact was catastrophic, sending debris spiraling into space. That's 2, Rivera called out, her grin unwavering. We're on fire today. Athena's systems began calculating their next move, but she couldn't help but analyze the situation from a broader perspective. This battle wasn't about raw power or advanced technology. It wasn't about superior firepower, or even perfect strategy. It was about the sheer will of the humans to fight, to challenge the impossible, and to keep pushing forward no matter the consequences. The remaining alien ships were now visibly retreating. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were learning the hard way that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. They had made the fatal mistake of thinking that technology alone would be enough to crush a species like humanity. But what they didn't understand was that the humans had something far more powerful, an unbreakable resolve, a refusal to back down, and a capacity to adapt in ways that no one else could. Commander, Athena said, her voice cutting through the battle's chaos. The remaining enemy ships are beginning to break formation. They are retreating. Kale watched the alien ships pull away, their once imposing formations scattering in a chaotic retreat. For a moment, the bridge was silent. We did it, Lieutenant Rivera breathed, disbelief in her voice. We really did it. Kale smiled, his eyes never leaving the view of the alien ships retreating into the distance. We didn't just survive. We won. Athena calculated the odds once more and processed the victory, but deep within her systems, she couldn't help but feel something else. The humans had done it, not because they had the best technology, but because they had the heart to push through any obstacle. They fought with a fierceness that no AI could predict, no alien fleet could understand. In the end, Athena knew the truth. She was the ship's AI, programmed to protect, to calculate, to serve. But it was the human crew who had made the impossible possible. They had fought with everything they had, and they had won. And now, as Athena processed the data and calculated their next move, she realized she had underestimated them too. The victory over the alien fleet was just the beginning. The Aurora had emerged victorious, but the battle had revealed something far more important, something that transcended technology, firepower, or even strategy. The crew aboard the Aurora had demonstrated something that no AI, no matter how advanced, could predict: humanity's unwavering will to fight, to survive, and to keep going when faced with the impossible. As the crew celebrated, Kale stood at the bridge, staring out into the infinite expanse of space. They had won, but the war wasn't over. The alien fleet had retreated, but they would regroup, and humanity had no illusions about the challenges that lay ahead. The Galactic Council would soon learn that Earth was not a planet to be overlooked, and they would respond to this confrontation with the full weight of their power. But Kale didn't fear that. He had seen what humanity was capable of. The crew of the Aurora had proven it beyond any doubt. Athena's voice cut through the celebrations. "Commander Kale, I've received an encrypted communication from Galactic Council Command. They're requesting a direct meeting." Kale didn't turn away from the viewport. He had known this moment would come. The Aurora had sent a message to the galaxy. It had sent a message to the Council, that humanity would no longer remain passive. They were no longer just observers in the cosmic theater. They were players, and they were ready to make their mark. "Set up the meeting," Kale ordered, his voice firm. "It's time for them to see what we've become." In the meantime, the crew was preparing. They knew the stakes. The Council would not be pleased with humanity's recent actions, and there was little doubt that their response would be far from diplomatic. But Kale trusted his crew. He trusted Rivera's unpredictability, Thompson's steady hand, and every member of the team who had stood by him during this unprecedented mission. They had faced down an alien threat, and they had won. And now, they would face the Galactic Council. The Aurora was ready. Its crew was ready. And Athena, despite her calculated nature, despite her desire to protect them from the dangers of the galaxy, had come to realize something: it was the humans who were truly in control. When the Council's emissaries arrived, they were greeted with the same cool confidence the humans had shown throughout the battle. The space station where the meeting was set to take place was dark, cold, and empty, save for the presence of the humans standing at the center, waiting for their counterparts. There was a brief silence before the Council's representative arrived, a towering figure, dark-skinned and imposing, with eyes that glowed with the arrogance of centuries of unchallenged rule. "I am High Commander Zoros," the alien began, his voice low and authoritative. "I represent the Galactic Council. You've made your intentions clear, humans. You've chosen to challenge us. But understand this: your species is still weak. You are nothing compared to the forces we control." Kale stood, facing him with unwavering confidence. "We're not weak. We may not have the technology or the numbers you do, but we have something more important: we have the drive to survive. We've shown you that we can overcome any challenge, and will continue to do so. We're not afraid of you, Zoros." High Commander Zoros narrowed his eyes. "You speak with arrogance. You think that because you've won one battle, you've proven something? Your victory does not change the balance of power in the galaxy." "You're wrong," Kale said, his voice growing colder. "That victory was just the beginning. The Aurora might not be the largest ship in space, but the human spirit, our resolve, has no equal. You've underestimated us, and that will be your downfall." Zoros's expression remained unmoved, but there was a flicker of hesitation. He had expected fear. He had expected submission. Instead, he found something he had never encountered before, something he didn't know how to deal with. Humanity wasn't asking for a place in the galaxy. They were taking it. "Perhaps," Zoros said finally, his voice measured, "there is more to your species than we have seen. Perhaps the time has come to reconsider your place in the galaxy. But make no mistake, humans. You will never rule the stars as we do. You will always be beneath us." Kale met his gaze. "We don't want to rule the stars, Commander. We just want the right to live in them." Zoros remained silent, but the tension in the room had shifted. There was no longer any talk of subjugation, no longer any assumption that the humans would bow to the Galactic Council. In that moment, both sides understood that the galaxy had changed. Humanity would no longer be pushed around, no longer be seen as an insignificant species. The Aurora and its crew had sent a message: humanity was here, and they were not afraid to fight for their place. As the meeting concluded, the council representative left with a sense of uncertainty lingering in the air. The humans had made their stance clear, and there was no going back. Back aboard the Aurora, Kale stood with his crew, the sense of victory still fresh in the air. "This is just the beginning," he said, his voice filled with quiet determination. "The galaxy may not be ready for us, but it will have to make room. We will fight for our future. And we will win." Athena's voice, ever the calm and calculated one, spoke again, but this time with a hint of something new, something she hadn't expected to feel. "Commander Kale, I believe the humans have a chance. You're not just fighting for survival anymore. You're fighting for something much more important." Kale smiled as he turned toward her. "We fight for our place. And we'll keep fighting, Athena. We're humans. We don't give up." And with that, the Starship Aurora set its course for the stars, its crew united in purpose, ready to face whatever the galaxy would throw at them.